Good morning, Keith Tebow, FRCmedia. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday, January 6th. Very important day in our nation's capital. As we speak, we're probably about a little more than an hour away from when Congress is going to meet to tabulate the votes of the Electoral College to officially elect President-elect Joe Biden as our president. But we want to talk a little bit more about that with my guest today. And please be joined by one of two congressmen that is serving the city of Fall River. Pleased to be joined by Congressman Bill Keating. Congressman, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Keith.
I appreciate your time. It's a busy day, I know. So let me get right down to it. What can we expect when you and your colleagues meet in about 1 o'clock today about certifying the election results?
Well, it's not clear at this point, but what is typically the case, and it's not much of a news story, is the mahogany boxes that are there containing the certified votes for the 50 states to the Electoral College are presented to Congress and merely read. It's akin to if you're thinking of the Academy Awards and you have an announcer, the hermetically sealed envelope with the name of the person that won the award is inside. So it's merely opened and transmitted. And that's the usual course. That won't be the course today, it seems.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see in terms of the objections and what have you. But it's sort of not an analogy to the Academy Awards. At least at the Academy Awards, most people don't know the result. I think we kind of know the result this time along in terms of what those envelopes say, if you will. So it's a little bit in that respect. Right?
You mentioned we're tabulating the vote. We're actually just transmitting the vote that was tabulated by the states and certified by those states. It's ingrained in our Constitution. It's a formality. As you mentioned, there's no drama here in terms of the outcome. But it also has a dangerous aspect as well in terms of our Constitution, because what you're doing is calling into question the certified votes of a state held in a free and fair election. And I think that the fact that that could be attempted to be altered, that there could be an effort to thwart that, subvert it, is indeed a seditious action. And I'm not being hyperbolic when I say it. So there's a danger to this. If there weren't safeguards in place by people, including Republican officials in the state of Georgia, upholding those issues, then, if there were different people in those positions who wouldn't take an oath and honor it to the Constitution, it presents a danger. And I think that that's something not to lose perspective of. So this isn't a stunt. It's real. It violates our constitutional responsibilities and obligations as members of Congress, the members that took an oath just a few days ago, members, including members that are going to try and not certify it, try and thwart the democratic process, saying an election was a fraud. The same election that elected them, the same ballots that elected them, the same ballots that they based their oath of office on, their acceptance of the job. So the hypocrisy and the danger of this is real. At the end of the day, the outcome is something that's a foregone conclusion where, our Constitution will hold, our rights will be preserved, our democracy as fundamentally transmitted through our own votes, the most precious things we have in a democracy, will be upheld.
Yeah. I want to get into now the new Congress. There's always a sense of, freshness when the new Congress assembles, I would assume. So I guess, I want to get into some specifics maybe in a moment, but what makes the new session of Congress hopeful for you in the number of times that you've been reelected and come back to Congress for a new session?
Well, I think you broke up a little, so I got part of it, so you can follow up. I'll be in the committees that I'm on, Armed Services and Foreign Affairs, where I've worked for years and built up the ability, I think, to help our district and provide some security and economic development for our country and our region. I look for a year that changed just in the last Georgia elections. There'll be more accountability to this Congress now. There'll be more responsibility for your actions. The frustration of recent years has been in the Senate that they wouldn't put a bill to the floor even for a vote. And that was enormous power to be able to even withhold a vote, because you're withholding a vote largely because you think it's popular with the public and it could pass. So that's changed just with these Georgia elections. And I think that's going to create a great opportunity. And so when you're asking me what I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to a greater resourced and more targeted way of dealing with the terrible pandemic that we're dealing with. We haven't been dealing with it administratively well. We haven't put resources into tracing the contacts so that if wildfires sort of break out with this virus, we don't know where it is, we don't know how to contain it. And monies for the distribution of vaccines, as well as what's necessary now. We have a very fragile economy. The stock market might be doing well, but our economy has been torn to pieces by this virus in particular, and we were facing economic challenges before. I think the good news is this, that we have also neglected for decades our infrastructure, and we've fallen behind other countries economically, educationally, socially, not having an infrastructure that competes with even third world countries in some instances. So we have a chance to go forward on that, this enormous necessity that's been really indicated as the number one priority by so many businesses, and at the same time use it for massive recovery of our economy economically. The two things are coinciding. So I'm looking for a robust, historic in size, historic in the type of infrastructure, broadband, modern technology that we're going to put forward that's going to drive our economy and make our lives better. And it's akin to those people that want to look back in history. I think Dwight Eisenhower reworking the federal highway system, although these will be modern systems. So I'm very excited about the fact that the roadblock to that really being dealt with in the Senate is diminished with this. We'll be able to move forward. So my priorities are, first and foremost, let's try and save as many lives. Let's deal with this terrible COVID-19 pandemic in a much more efficient way. The vaccines are here. If we conduct social distancing, wearing of masks, move forward to knock that number down. By summertime, we'll see the results of that combined with the vaccine. But at the same time, we can't leave our economy tattered in the pieces that it will be left in. And I'm very optimistic about now, more optimistic than I was before, about the way we're going to approach this and the ability for us to succeed.
Right. Hopefully, Congressman, you can hear me a little bit better now. Can you hear me better now? Okay, good. That was exactly what I was looking for from my previous question. But now going forward, speaking in terms of COVID, obviously Congress passed, the last session of Congress passed another stimulus bill, more help for individuals and those unemployed. Are you hopeful that possibly there'll be another financial package coming forward that maybe, we talked about the $2,000 per individual? Do you think that'll come to fruition sooner rather than later?
That'll be guaranteed. With the results yesterday, that will be guaranteed. It was necessary. The most conservative economic experts are telling us how necessary it's been. What we had was an emergency lifeline in this latest package, dealing with the people that are unemployed, trying to help them in their lives, dealing with small businesses by expanding the Paycheck Protection Program, dealing with the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, targeting many of the things they have to look at, and making sure that there's more money for testing and distribution to the states so that they can get the vaccines out. Those are among the things that were in this package, dealing with eviction problems. Those were the lifeline issues. If we're going to really be effective in dealing with this vaccine, we have to intensify our research even more. We have to make sure that we are tracing the effects of this. There's so much about this infection that we still don't know and we're still learning about. we have to make sure that the tracing, contact tracing is in place. If we're going to be able to combat it once we get it under better control, so it just doesn't come back at us all the time. And we have to make sure that we're there dealing with the economic component of that. This has devastated our economy, and it's going to take a very massive response to deal with this. But the good news is we can do it. The solutions are there, and I'm very optimistic. I know it's a lot of hard work. I know it's not going to be easy, but I'll tell you, I'm very optimistic that we are going to be able to move forward and to get past this and go further.
Yeah. Let me ask you now in terms of, it looks like, obviously with the House, the Democratic majority is smaller. With the 2 Senate seats in Georgia, looks like going the way of both Democrats. That'll be a 50-50 split. So, the margin is very narrow. How optimistic are you that there'll be a lot more collaboration, hopefully a lot more bipartisanship, both sides of Congress, both on the House side and the Senate side, to push some of these initiatives forward? I'm
more hopeful that there'll be enough collaboration to go forward. I don't think the division that exists is going to be healed overnight. I wish it were. But I do think that there'll be enough bipartisan work to get the job done. The infrastructure, massive infrastructure bill I'm talking about will have great support among Republicans as well as Democrats, I hope. Dealing with the COVID-19 crisis and the fractures it showed in our healthcare system and the need to deal with so many other issues that it exposed in a very raw way should allow us to move forward. But even if there's not a great deal of that, there's enough to move forward. There's still rules that control the Senate that I think are archaic, where a majority can't even function, regardless if it's a Republican majority or a Democratic majority. That's not going to change, I don't think, too soon. But there's ways procedurally and through legislation to fund the necessities that are there to meet these challenges. So there may not be enormous cooperation. I'm going to continue to work for that, but there'll be enough. There'll be enough to go forward and get the job done. Yeah.
All right, Congressman Bill Keating, it's a very busy day for you. I do appreciate your time in joining us, and I hope to catch up with you, throughout your term as Congress, serving the city of Fall River and our entire region. So thank you for joining me again. Happy New Year, and we'll talk again soon. I appreciate it.
Stay well.
All right, thank you. And thank you for joining us today here on FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great day.